If date nights were enough to fix a marriage, most couples would already be fine. The problem is date nights don't address the underlying cause of most marital problems. And in many cases, they actually make things worse. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a marriage that lasts as a Muslim. I'm Zahra Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married 4.5 years.
And let's get started.
Let's get started.
So this week's episode is entitled, Why Date Nights Aren't Fixing Your Marriage and What to Do Instead. All right, what do you think about that topic?
It's very intriguing. You would think that it would be the opposite.
Right? So let me ask you this question to get started. Let's say that there's a hypothetical couple.
Yeah.
And they're not doing too well.
Okay.
And one member of the couple feels worse than the other, just overall sadder than the other one.
Okay.
So she, because it's usually the woman, so she or he goes on the internet, says, we're not doing too well, maybe things are getting boring, maybe we're feeling disconnected, whichever search term into the internet, and the internet says, try going on a date night.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? How will that play out?
If they're not talking to each other in the regular, they're probably not going to be talking to each other on the date night.
Yeah, exactly. And when they come back home, you think that they'll be better off, worse off, or the same?
They're going to have an existential meltdown.
So the same.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're going to be like, whoa, even a date night didn't salvage this, didn't make this any better. Like, bro, this marriage is doomed.
Yeah, exactly. That's usually the sentiment that I get. People tend to feel a lot worse because, number one, the hope for the marriage has gone down. But even more importantly, it's like when you're one-on-one and together and there aren't any other distractions, the kids aren't there, the in-laws aren't there, you're in the same room and you're literally facing each other at the restaurant. That's usually how people sit.
Yeah.
So now you are both acutely aware of the fact you're supposed to interact. What that does is it shines a huge spotlight on the negativity between the two of you.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide from it.
You're now staring down the face of each other.
Exactly. A very similar phenomenon happened for a lot of couples during COVID shutdown, during the pandemic, where, again, there was nowhere to hide. And now there's a huge spotlight on the quality of your connection.
Yeah.
Right?
Wasn't there like a lot of divorces?
Yeah, a lot of people had a hard time
during COVID.
A lot of people found each other, actually. There was a lot of COVID couples that came out. I think technically you and I are a COVID couple.
Yeah, but not because we didn't know each other before COVID.
No, we didn't, but during COVID.
Yeah.
So it could be one of those people. But both happened. There was a lot of marriages that broke down, and a lot of people who found each other. Okay, so as for date night, that tends to be the reason why it doesn't work for people who are like the way to approach it is if a couple is already having significant problems with respect to their communication, and there's a significant amount of tension between them, and they're having difficulty talking to each other, just in general, then date night or any time for between the two of them that's supposed to just be the two of them is just going to highlight that. So that's why that doesn't work. But for couples who are at baseline or who are happy, right? Date night and time together usually actually is wonderful. It's like getting back together. It's like spending time with your best friend or a good friend of yours, right? And that's always a good thing. All right, so if date night's not going to work, then what's going to work?
Close quarters combat.
All right. No, please don't do that. Any other ideas?
No, I'm at a loss. I think perhaps stay at home and probably have some ice cream together or something.
Okay. All right. How's that going to go?
Well, at the very least.
Which flavor did you get?
What?
What flavor did you get for the ice cream?
Probably cookies and cream.
See, you always get cookies and cream. Do you even know what my favorite flavor is?
Yeah, at this point in time,
Yeah,
the ice cream is not the coldest thing in the room.
exactly. So let's have that conversation. Whenever it's let me give this analogy to help you to understand why, right? I know I'm spending a little bit of time on this. It's because it's important to understand why it's not working. Once you know why it's not working, then it'll help you to really absorb what will work instead, right? Like the underlying mechanisms. Once we know the underlying mechanism of why it's not working, it'll give us a good idea of what to do instead. Yes. So one more analogy, and then we're going to move on to the solutions.
By the way,
yes,
when I was mentioning the ice cream, I was saying like I buy my own ice cream and then you get your own flavor.
What's my own flavor? What's my favorite flavor?
Your favorite flavor?
Yeah.
Probably something to do with butterscotch.
It used to be at one point, but not anymore.
You've changed on me.
I did, yeah.
Oh my God.
I found out about something called Wolf's Paw ice cream.
Isn't that just mini Reese's?
It's everything. It's
That's
basically
just Reese's,
everything.
right?
There's Reese's in there. I think there's pieces of brownie in there. It's just
Caramel.
all of the things.
Yeah.
And no, that's my favorite flavor now. See, now I want ice cream. Okay, so let's move on to talk about this analogy to delineate what this, how it really feels to be in this situation, so that to help you understand why it might be that way, and then we move on to the solutions. So let's say you have this friend, right? And this friend has canceled on you the last 3 outings. This friend is generally a nice person to a lot of people, but for one reason or another, there's tension between the two of you, and they're not, like, you might have had a fight, but there's tension there.
Yeah.
Or they might have just done something or said something, or you might have heard somebody say something that rubs you the wrong way. So they feel that too, and they've canceled the last 3 outings. And the rest of your friend group is now torn between the two of you. So they do this thing where they set up a meeting and then pretend that everyone's going to go, and then they all leave. So you now have to be there together with them. You and this friend who just don't like each other right now. And every single person listening probably has that friend in mind. They know who it is.
What is that, like an intervention?
Yeah. But I'm just trying to create the equivalent of the feeling, right? That level of tension, because we've all had that friend with that falling out where we really don't want to be alone with them in a room, and now we're alone with them in a room or in a restaurant, and we're like, okay, so how are you? Good. How are you? And the phones come out. Right?
Let's skip the formalities.
Exactly.
Close quarters combat.
And then usually what happens is the phones come out. So it's that feeling of negativity, that feeling of tension, right? And that's not going to be solved by just a change in scenery, a change in setting. Okay, so let's start talking about solutions. You can understand that the underlying issue here is negativity. Now, we speak about Gottman a lot whenever it talks about it's related to marriage concepts. Again, it's because his concepts work the best. For me, that have worked the best in our marriage and for my clients, right? He speaks about this concept called your sound relationship house, right? Which is essentially just, if you boil it down, the way that I understand it is the positivity between the two of you. So that friendshipness, right? So that friendshipness. And the opposite of that is the negativity that can occur as a result of unresolved conflicts, as well as the 4 horsemen starting to appear. The 4 horsemen of divorce starting to appear in the marriage. You know, we've spoken about those before. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. So that negativity and that tension starts to crowd out the positivity that was there before. Yeah. And when that starts to be crowded out, it changes how you see your spouse. It changes how you see your entire marriage. Even when you ask a couple who's in this state of mind of overall negativity, to describe how they met, it can even color what they remember from their relationship history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember he was late that day.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it really can start to have a profound impact on how you see this person and how you see the relationship from beginning to today, and as well as its future. And shifting all of that takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has a lot of ideas for why that might be going on. I have some ideas for why that might be going on. We're just going to go with my ideas. And then wherever it's his idea, I'll make sure I point it out. Personally, I think it's loss of trust, right? You remember how we spoke about in the previous episode?
Mm-hmm.
The previous episode for married individuals about that one habit that determines whether a marriage lasts or not. And that habit was related to turning towards each other. And the reason why it was so important is because turning towards each other builds trust increment by increment, right? Like degree by degree, little bit by little bit. It builds trust. Every time your spouse turns towards you, you make a bid for attention and you say, "Hi, please look at me and pay attention to me." And they turn toward you and they say, "Hi, I'm here. What can I do for you?" Every single one of those little moments adds up into this idea that I can rely on this person.
Mm-hmm.
And when those moments start to degrade, or they start to be crowded out by the moments when they didn't turn towards you or you didn't turn towards them, then the opposite idea starts developing of, I can't rely on this person.
Yeah.
See, I can't. This is just another example of me not being able to rely on them. So I think it comes down to trust. That's my personal idea.
The way I see it is that you got two sun lamps. Each person is their own individual sun lamp.
Interesting.
Right? And in the middle of them, right in the middle, is a black sheet metal, right? And so when one person is turning towards them, the black sheet metal might feel a little warm. When they're both not turning directly at each other, then the light's not going to hit the sheet metal and it's not going to warm up. But when they're both facing each other, it's going to warm up the sheet metal and the relationship is going to feel warm, right? But yeah, at times the relationship might feel cold.
Yeah.
Because you guys are not turning towards each other.
And it takes two.
It takes two.
That's beautiful. I love that analogy. That's really, really nice. I'm going to keep that in mind. So hopefully it's a little bit clear what the underlying issue is, the negativity that's stemming from a breakdown in trust. Therefore, you can start to see the solution is going to be related to building that trust back up, right? So we're going to start to build that trust back up from two dimensions. The first dimension is just to address the the immediate underlying issues. Like usually if I sit down with a couple and I ask them, can you describe your last or the two biggest fights? The two biggest fights. Usually they both look at each other and they know exactly what fight it is.
Yeah.
There's usually a known nameable issue that is between the couple that is really bothering them. And not dealing with that first is sort of like, if somebody has a splinter in the thumb, not taking out the splinter and just covering it with a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's not going to heal. You need to first address the ongoing thorn in the relationship, right?
I can't believe he named our son Tornado.
Can't believe you let him name the son. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But that's the idea. So the first thing that needs to be done is to name the biggest issues, the biggest sources of tension, the thorns in the relationship, and come up with a plan of how to address them. If you want some help on how to have these difficult conversations about these issues, right? The issues might be like something like, I don't feel appreciated. It's, I'm doing all of these things and he's really not helping me out. Or he might say, I don't feel appreciated. I'm working here, I'm working there, and she's not really seeing the effort I'm putting into the marriage. Or more commonly from the gentleman's side, it'll be she doesn't really respect She doesn't really respect my autonomy and wants to be the one who's dictating how I do things. There's more than one way to do a thing, which is a valid issue. So these issues need to be talked out, and they need to be talked through. And whether or not the two of you can talk through them on your own, it depends on how far along how pervasive is this negativity, right? Have you reached the point where there's just too much contempt there? Maybe you're at the point of stonewalling, right? At that point, you would need some outside help. You would need a professional, right? So I would always recommend you look it up on the internet. There's always people who are in your area, or even available internationally online, who are Muslim and willing to offer free sessions through coaching or through counseling or through therapy, right? There's so many wonderful services out there. So I would look around and see if you can find outside help. Yeah. And if your husband or if your wife is having difficulty and doesn't want to seek the outside help, that's going to be another conversation that it's important to sit down and have. I believe I went through how to have that conversation before. I'm trying to remember the episode title. It was episode number 46, right? Episode number 46 entitled, I Married the Wrong Person. Okay, so just don't worry about the title. But towards the second half of the episode, towards the last, I think, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I go through in some detail of how to have that conversation of, we need to go to therapy, we need to go to coaching, right? Yeah. Okay, so if you're too far along to have this conversation on your own, consider coaching, consider therapy in order to solve these big thorn issues. If you're not that far along, or you want to give it a try having these discussions on your own, we've gone through the 5 steps of discussion in quite some detail in the first half of episodes of this podcast channel. I would recommend specifically maybe episode 44, entitled We Fight All the Time, or even episode number 2, which is easy to find, right? Which is called The First Year of Marriage. Yeah. So, but there's where we outline the 5 steps of discussion and how to have these difficult conversations and these difficult discussions. If you want a free copy of the conflict resolution table, where I list these 5 steps of discussion so that they're easy for you to see and remember, you can download a copy of that PDF in the description below. Okay, so actually, just a quick announcement for the sisters who are single. If you are serious about getting married, but you're not meeting enough of the right people, it usually means that you're not positioning yourself with the right matches can find you. I have created for you a program called the Tie Your Camel Challenge, 5 days to meet marriage-minded men. Basically, I teach you exactly how to position yourself online and in real life so that you'll be much more likely to start to come across these marriage-minded men naturally. The sign up is running out because it will be starting on Monday, May 11th. So if this sounds like it's for you, please feel free to sign up. If you know any friends who this would benefit, please feel free to sign up. It's completely free, right? My goal is to help as many women as possible start meeting good men, In Shaa Allah. But overall, your goal is going to be to identify the thorns, address the thorns, either yourselves or with help, right? That's the first step. And that is much more powerful than date night if there's a ton of negativity in the marriage. Okay, so you've removed the thorns. We've addressed the issue with the unappreciation. We've addressed the issue with the autonomy. We have a plan in place, and we're going to start to implement this plan, right? So that we feel seen, we feel heard. However, because we've spent so much time in this negative space, our trust is still not quite there yet.
Of course. Just because you remove the thorns doesn't mean that the healing instantly starts. The cuts still need to heal.
Exactly, right? So we have one of two choices. Either do nothing, right? Just let it heal through time, which is probably not a great idea, because eventually another thorn will just make it into its way into your marriage, right?
Or you apply the medicinal balm.
Exactly, which is what we're going to do now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the second dimension of what you're going to do, which is rebuild the connection from the ground up, right? So now that there isn't anything distracting in terms of active conflict, we're now just going to focus on mending the nature of the bond between the two of you, healing the emotional safe space between the two of you by sort of reintroducing yourselves to each other, right? Like, do you remember like when you first met your spouse? So this is a common technique that we use as coaches. I'm sure therapists and counselors do the same thing. Is in order to start this process of rebuilding this connection, we'll usually go with the question of, well, how did you meet? Tell me about how you met. And people's faces will tend to light up, tend to
soften.
Yes, because they start to relive the memory of what it felt like to be in that very first phase, right? Okay.
It was such a rush, like the chase, the forest. It was nighttime.
Was it really?
No.
Was that a different woman?
No.
Okay. I had concerns for a second. But yeah. So that's the feeling that you're going to try to capture, but over a prolonged period of time. So I'm just going to give you a few strategies of how to start to build that feeling back into your marriage, right? In a more sustained way. Number one, this is something that comes from Gottman, but I've seen many coaches use this same technique, right? It's very simple, but it's quite powerful. It's when you're going to sleep at nighttime, right? Or sometime just before bedtime. The two of you turn towards each other. You dedicate, 5 minutes to this, where you mention two things that you appreciate about your husband or your wife that they did that day, and you try to make it a different thing each night.
Yeah.
Each night. Now, why do you think this technique would be so helpful, be so powerful?
It helps the other person be seen.
That's a big part of it. It's working on both partners. It's working on the person who's doing the appreciating as well as the person who's being appreciated.
The reason why is because the caveat there is that it needs to be a unique compliment every night, or at least something that's not repeating. The partners that are complimenting each other, they're going to be more attentive to what the person is doing that they're thankful for. They're not going to miss out on that, right? And so they're going to see those attempts, those reaching out efforts, and as well, because they themselves want to make it easier for their partner to find something to compliment them on, they'll do their own little things.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Especially the first half of what you said. Because whenever we're in that negative space, like we do this as individuals, like just outside of relationships, right? People who are going through depression, people who are going through a difficult time, or who have some pervasive core wounds or codependency or negative self-esteem, or all of these conditions that most of us have, we tend to have a lot of negative self-talk, right? Negative self-talk. There's like a dialogue going on in our mind of all the things that we did wrong or that we do wrong, right? And we are very, very good at being able to pick out all the things that we did badly, and have a hard time of So whenever I ask one of my clients, can you tell me two things that you don't like about yourself? I would never ask this, but if I did ask them, they would be right up there. They'd be like, I don't like this and I don't like this. I can make this list longer. I can give you 10 things, and without hesitation. But if you ask them for 1-2 things that they do like about themselves, they're quiet for a long time. Similarly, exactly what you said, the same thing happens with respect to relationships, with respect to your marriage. When there's pervasive negativity, you get used to seeing all of the things that they do wrong, because they fit into the narrative that you're creating in your mind, in your subconscious. If the narrative is, I don't feel appreciated and he doesn't appreciate me, the next sentence usually is, it's because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right? That's usually the next sentence. Then you start to see all of the evidence that fits into that narrative. And you start to miss all of the evidence that doesn't fit into that narrative.
Yeah.
Both partners are doing this. Yeah. So by asking them to just simply think of two things that they appreciate during the day, it's retraining your mind to scan for the positive. Yeah. Scan for the positive. And when you get used to scanning for the positive, you start to see more and more positive. So the first 2 or 3 nights, it's going to be really hard. You're going to have to work at it to come up with 2 or 3 things. You just did 2 things. Because you're not used to seeing them. But over time, it's going to get easier and easier and easier. Yeah. Now, a caveat I'm going to put right here is that this will feel awkward. Almost every single technique or every single strategy offered by a coach or a counselor will feel awkward. But it's one of those things where you just trust the process. Yeah. Over time, it will feel less awkward.
So basically, it's like if you're spending the majority of your life in America or Canada, for example, the bread, they add a lot of sugar to the bread, right? And someone that lives in like a country like Europe, right?
A country Europe?
Yeah, like a country like Europe. Okay. Right? They fly over from the UK. Yes. And they will try American bread for the first time.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
And Europe, the country.
Of course.
Right?
Right beside Africa, that other country.
Exactly.
Yes.
Their bread will have hardly any sugar in it, if not no sugar in it. Yeah. So when they end up eating the American bread, right, the people from the country of Europe will say, what is this, cake? You know? They think that they're eating cake.
Oh, I see.
And so when they ask the American or the Canadian, hey, why do you guys eat cake? And the American or Canadian, they're going to be like, we don't eat cake.
Yeah, I get you.
This is bread.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because even though the bread is pumped full of sugar.
Yeah.
People might see that as a positive flavor, but they got used to it, so they don't notice it anymore.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They got to take a step back in order to notice all the good things that their spouse is doing for them. Exactly. That they got used to.
That's beautiful. I like that. It's a very sweet analogy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Straight from the country of Europe.
Okay, for everyone from Europe, we apologize. We know it's not, and also for Africa, we know it's not a country. It's just our jokes are terrible. Just bear with us. So that brings us to the second technique. Now, I've mentioned this many times, and it will keep coming up, because it's so powerful and it works so well. Is to, in this effort to rebuild your connection together, is to go out and do physical activities together, things that are physical, right? Something a little bit more than a walk. A walk is great. But if it can be something a little bit more, maybe you find a place where you can play basketball together, or you go bowling together, something with a goal in mind. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you're walking, there's still, the goal is just to talk. And it's not, it'll help. It's better than sitting and talking. Yeah. But when you are doing something else that's goal oriented, you become distracted by the goal. You're both able to let your guards down enough to interact with each other in a way that feels good, that feels familiar, like before. And what it does is it reminds you of the fact that you used to feel safe with this person emotionally before, right? And it's very powerful. So mini golf, arcades are great, bowling alleys, those places where they throw axes. Even if you're at home and you don't want to go out, it could be a board game. But again, things that are more physical tend to work better than things where you're sitting down and that are just intellectual. Also, another thing that works really well is laughing together, right? This it's another way that is very effective at helping you to let your guard down. And also to remind you again that you used to experience positive things with this person. And it's sort of restoring or replenishing that bank, that emotion, in that emotional bank. It's replenishing the positivity in your sound relationship house, right?
Yeah.
So what are some examples where the two of you can laugh together?
A pie throwing contest.
But there's wasting pies?
No, you're throwing it at each other's mouth.
Oh, okay. So just feeding each other.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. A common example that I use is tickle fights.
Yeah.
Tickle fights can work very well for short periods of time. Another one is watching comedy together. Not just like things that the two of you find mutually funny, right? This could be like a stand-up comedian. I know I love stand-up comedy. It could be a content creator somewhere on YouTube. Just somebody who's something that's halal and you both find funny. Just that you would laugh on your own, share it with your spouse. Those tend to work really well, right? So doing physical activities together and laughing together help you to lower your guard.
Yeah.
Technique number 3. Right now, technique number 3 is to do things where you learn about each other again, because you have to recreate a new narrative. Because if we're stuck in this narrative for so long that this person is hurting me, this person is ignoring me, this person is taking away my autonomy, unappreciated, like that narrative is so pervasive, and that narrative is the primary source of the tension and the negativity. We need to create a new narrative, and the way to create this new narrative is to learn about your partner. So do you have some ideas of things that we can do to learn about each other?
21 questions.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good one, right? So sometimes I recommend getting, there's all those couples cards games.
Yeah, like Guess Who.
No, not Guess Who. The couple cards games where they're specifically made for people in relationships, where each card like has a question on it. Like, when was the last time you cried?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like those questions on it. So those couples cards game can work really well for just helping you to learn about each other again. You don't have to go through all of them in one day. You can do something like go through 3 of them an evening, right? So that when you're going to sleep each night, you make this habit. These are the 2 things I appreciate about you. They tell you the 2 things they appreciate about you. And then you do your 3 cards. That can be a very good healing time. Another thing is just to go on the internet. If you don't want to buy a card game, you just go on the internet. There's so many lists. There's an infinite number of lists of questions to ask each other as couples, right? If you're thinking of what to type in, you can type in first date questions. Or fun date questions. Those are very good at bringing up all of those, if you could only have one superpower, what superpower would it be, and all of those things.
Yeah.
So you can, again, similarly, you don't have to ask each other all of the questions all at once. You can just go 1 or 2. I remember seeing this, I think it was like 10 years back. And I haven't thought about it since then. So I haven't looked it up specifically for this episode. I'm just remembering it now.
Yeah.
But there was was it an experiment? But there was this trend going around where a team had discovered a list of questions that if you ask someone, if you sit with somebody and you look them in the eyes and ask and answer these questions, you would fall in love by the end of these questions. And I think it was like a list of 30 questions. I haven't looked it up. I'm just remembering something from 10 years back. So yeah, that list is probably out there and is very helpful.
That seems like pseudoscience, right? Because
it is pseudoscience.
How can you get anyone to fall in love with you within 30 questions?
Oh, remember clickbait? Could be clickbait, but the questions themselves were very well thought out, right? So that's why I'm bringing it up. That's a good list to go and find and use. And finally, and I recommend this one. It takes a little bit longer, but I think it's very fun. and it's very useful. Where you have a chat about, I call it an autobiography chat. Do you have an idea what that is?
Autobiography. Tell me a little about yourself.
No, it's tell me everything about yourself.
Tell me literally everything about yourself.
Yeah. So where you sit down and then you just say, okay, so you were born and then what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you ask, and they'll tell you about themselves and you tell them about yourself. And we tend to have stories that live inside of us that define who we are.
Yeah.
And if we take those stories and put them in a chronological order, they do a very good job at shaping up your autobiography. Mm-hmm. Right? So and the longer you're married, the more you get to know each other's stories, but you'll be surprised about how much of your partner's story or that you just don't know, you haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you a quick example. Did I tell you the story about when I fought the entire 7th grade?
I heard about that, yeah.
Okay, see, you've heard that story. It's one of my stories. I was in grade 8 and I was playing basketball like a normal person. And this girl came over and kicked my basketball. Mm-hmm. And I was just not having it.
Yeah.
I just said, this is my line. No. And I said, I will fight you after school. I don't recommend this. I don't condone fighting. Please don't do this. But I told her I would do that. And she said, bet. So we went to class. I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
And then we went to class and then we came back out and I found her waiting for me along with the entire 7th grade. And she said, I'm ready. I'm like, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. And I just kept walking.
Yeah.
And they started following me. And my best friend was walking with me.
Yeah.
And she saw what was happening and abandoned me immediately.
Okay.
I've never felt. I was like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to go walk this way. Even though she was supposed to, her house was in my direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where she went to this day. She didn't go home. Right. So I just kept walking and they kept trying to stop me. And I kept just putting one foot in front of the other. I said, if I keep walking, they'll run out. I'll eventually be home.
Yeah.
But at some point, they surrounded me. Mm-hmm. Like about halfway home. I was still halfway from my house. They had surrounded me the whole way, and I was standing in the middle. And I said, I'm not going to fight you because you're a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Even though there was only months between us, I was much taller than her. I'm like, I would destroy you. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So her classmate stepped up, who had probably been held back a few times.
Yeah.
And was a foot taller than me. Yeah. And she said, I'll do it. And before I said who, she had already got me in the jaw. Yeah. And I was like, okay. As soon as I put a finger on her, they're all going to jump me. I said, this doesn't look good. It's bad. And out of the corner of my eye, like the very far corner, like in between an alley, like between two houses on the other side of the street. So there was a flash of hijab. Yeah. And before she went out of our eye line. And I just pointed at her in her direction. I said, that's my mom. Yeah. That right there is my mom. Mom. I just screamed, Mom. And then she came back and looked over and she said, yeah. I said, Mom. And then I grabbed my bag and I ran to her. Yeah. And thank God she was Muslim. Yeah. Sorry, no, I mean, she was Somali like I was. Otherwise, if she had been obviously not Somali, they would have had questions. But I said, can you just pretend to be my mom? She said, I got you. Yeah. So I went home until they left me alone. Anyway, that's the time I almost fought the 7th grade. And now you have that story with you, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, so do all of our listeners. But those stories like that. Yeah. That's what I mean. That's why I'm going through it. So you just have these little autobiography chats where you ask about each other. Like, all right, so tell me about grade 1. Do you remember your teacher? Exactly.
I do.
Oh, you do? Yeah. All right. What's her name?
Mrs. Esther Brooks.
Okay. All right. Good teacher.
She was my ESL teacher.
Did you need ESL?
Yeah, I did ESL. I didn't need it after grade 1.
Oh.
They had me go through ESL until grade 3.
Okay, so you were
very angry. I was very angry because my reading level was better than the kids. Yeah. By grade 2. Yeah. I was reading better than them. Yeah. But they were just not having it. They're like, everybody goes through ESL until grade 3. You're gonna do it too.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not normal.
It's not.
But Okay, so now I see. I didn't know that about you.
The kids that were born and raised in Canada, did not go through ESL.
Yeah, obviously.
It was just for the refugee kids like me.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, but I learned I wasn't really a refugee though, because I came over at the age of 3.
Well, it's not the age, it's the circumstances.
That's what I'm saying, is I came over at the age of 3.
Okay.
By the time I was in grade 1, I was already speaking English.
Oh, okay, so
my English was perfectly fine. I don't know why they put me there.
They said, you're going to go here. You're like, why? Why am I going here? Like in perfect English. You're like, I don't need to.
Exactly.
I speak perfectly fine. They're like, we didn't hear anything. Please have a seat.
Exactly. And then they had me read books for the entire 3 years.
Yeah.
Up until my family had one book. It was an orange book where I had written, I hate reading on it.
All right. So I'm going to want to know more about that. But hopefully it's clear. Right? Yeah. Like the idea is clear. When you sit down and you spend some time getting to know your spouse again, getting to know more of your spouse again. You remember that saying, when a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound?
Yeah.
You're the one who hears it, right? One of our functions in our life is that we are the witness to our spouse's life. Right? So the more of their story that you're aware of that lives in you, it reshapes your narrative of who they are and what they actually intend.
Yeah.
Right? It creates a new narrative. So that's a really good way to reconnect, In Shaa Allah.
In Shaa Allah.
And then number 4 is simple, but again, quite powerful, which is to hug more. Like the data is it's undisputed. It's pretty clear. Couples who have more physical affection, just tend to do better.
Yeah.
Right? They tend to do better. So I recommend hug as much as you can. Even when you're upset. Everything, I should have said this at the beginning, every single thing that I say on this podcast is always assume that you are in a safe environment, physically safe and emotionally safe environment.
Yeah.
If there is any degree or any level of abuse, don't worry about anything I've said and focus on doing what's safe for you. And getting to a place of safety for you and your family. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. But assuming that abuse is not a factor, hugging is a really good way to reconnect. I think I read somewhere that for children, when they're first born, every child's if they have a love language, their love language is physical touch, because they can't really speak, and acts of service is just how them being alive. So for most children, physical touch with their caregivers is their love language, right? And for a lot of people, when they get older, that carries through.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 ways that you can start to rebuild that connection in a real way.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they were?
No. I'll let you take over.
Okay. So number 1 was to, at nighttime, when you're sleeping, to mention 2 things you appreciate by your spouse. Number 2, do things that help you let your guard down, primarily doing physical activities together, like playing games, or laughing together, like watching comedy. Number 3 is to learn about each other again, right? Primarily through those lists of questions, those couple questions or questions from the internet, but also through those autobiography chats where you sit down and you just literally learn about each other. And number 4 is to hug more, hug spontaneously. I would create a rule within the marriage that if somebody hugs, the other person reciprocates.
Yeah.
If you can hug and make the hug last for longer than 3 to 5 seconds, then more oxytocin. It tends to land even more.
That's when you get bonus points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that is how to reconnect, right? Before you reconnect, you need to remove the thorns, which means either have those discussions or go see a coach or counselor. And once that you have reestablished that baseline of a sound relationship house, and you have added more positivity into your marriage and there is negativity, now you're ready for date night.
Absolutely.
Now the date nights can have a lot more of an impact.
Yes.
And that should be everything.
That was a lot of information.
It was. I learned about you. I didn't know.
Yes.
Is there anything that we're missing?
No, we're perfectly fine.
So that's everything with respect to that. If you have chosen to be here and spend all of this time with us, Jazaa K'Allah Khayr, we really appreciate you. We know how valuable your time is. If you would like a copy of the conflict resolution guide, that copy is in the description for you below. If you are a couple and you would like some help in marriage coaching, I will also leave a link in the description where you can book a free consultation with me. If you haven't subscribed to our channel on YouTube, please go make your way to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It really, really helps us out. That's everything. Stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend. And assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.